the slaughtering and beheading of another black man by the police, and the killing of George Floyd on Memorial Day. And I think the country never be the same again after this demonstration all over the country, major cities, and people are really moved by this display of injustice and racist brutality from the police that the African American been living through for more than 250 years. I think it's been 400 years in history of slavery and the injustice and inequality that the African American going through, and it really was showing with this image of another white police officer killing a black man.
Mm-hmm.
We have here Les Lester. He is author, a journalist, a teacher, a community organizer. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully, and just delighted to be on your show. Thanks for having me on, Ahmed.
Well, thank you so much for coming. It's been rough for 100 years, Les. It is interesting, and it's been galvanized in the last 2 weeks. So, you know, I know it's we know the details, we know what happened, but is this different than any Black Lives Matter or any killing that you can think of in the last, last 20, 30 years?
Well, I think it's for one thing, it's the pent-up energy that people have with this COVID-19. I've been doing a lot of staying at home since about March, and so I can understand young people. That was just something to say, you know what, we're tired of this, and plus they're tired of being shut up in the house, and so that adds to it. What I'm underscoring to people, though, is that we've got to look at the background. You mentioned it's really, I think it's 246 years since 1619 to now. Well, 1619 to 1863 or 65, that we were under enslavement. And we do have to keep in mind that the policing in America is derived from the slave patrols. Even in George Washington time, when he had in the Virginia Gazette, he had an ad trying to search for his indentured servants and his black slaves. And so the job of the slave patrol was to run down indentured servants, slaves. They were property of people, and so policing still has that culture, and so that's the thing. I heard someone say on television the other day. He was saying how the Army's job is to go in and destroy. That's their job, to destroy things. But policemen are supposed to be peace officers, and so we're not seeing that. And these young people, these millennials, they have a chip on their shoulder, man. I'm going to talk about this until we get some solutions about it, because the root of why police think like they think is because of the American narrative that they're reared up under, and they don't have the full black story. So these kids got a chip on their shoulder. I've been teaching this, doing workshops in schools, especially around the Twin Cities, and writing, and just delighted to see people from other cities use my blog for their teaching classes. But in the policeman's mind, it's Greece, Rome, the whole Arab world is a Caucasian, and they've done everything. But in real history, and these black kids know this, you had the Minoans, a black culture, before you had the Greeks. And I'm not talking about the modern artist depictions, the real primary source pictures. You had the Etruscans before you had the Romans. The Romans were a colony of Etruria. Of course, Egypt, and then the entire Middle East was Greater Africa in the ancient world. And these young people know this, so there's a chip on their shoulder, and you can't blame it. They're high energy. Now, as far as these infiltrators, these guys coming in from outside, they say Mr. Harrington talked about how they stopped a guy and he hopped out of his car and he poured the flammables all over his car. And they found out he had all kind of stuff in his car. He was from out of state, so all kind of militant stuff to destroy.
The system of racism in America is very sophisticated and very comprehensive. That one of the few racist systems that they use science and history and literature and movies and use all the tools at their disposal to propagate that racist culture that now is embedded in all our institutions. And so it is a little bit different than you know, in the Middle East or in Europe or elsewhere. So what are the bigger challenges we are facing now to overcome all this obstacles that we face in our legal system, police, economics, media, literature, movies?
Well, my thing is, I think we're in a position now. You probably are, I'm sure you're aware, you looked at my webpage. I am running in the 5th Congressional District, you know, against Ilhan Omar. And one of the major reasons I decided to go ahead and run, because I had sent her this information about our school kids, just not getting their full history. And it's going to have an impact on how they perceive the world. One thing I think that with this COVID-19 out here, it's a great opportunity to look at what Yang talked about, the universal basic income. In 1967, Dr. Martin Luther King, before he went down to Memphis, he says, I'm going down to Memphis. He says, when I come back, I'm going to cash our check. Now, the thing about universal income is we have a $20 trillion gross domestic product in the United States. And when if everyone gets a $2,000 check, not so it won't be stigmatized, everybody, guess what's going to happen? The local economy is going to pick up immediately. We're in danger right now of the United States and the global economy just, you know, falling off the planet, if I could use that metaphor. But if we do like they did with the food stamp program back in the 1960s, a lot of people felt that, well, where are they giving these people food stamps? They don't want to work or whatever the case might be. But there was a boon to the grocery market. We still have this mentality of scarcity of the ancient world when you didn't have any kind of safety net. And I mean, come on, these folk, if you didn't take care of yourself, you were going to starve to death, you see. But we built up this massive economy. The economy is not based on gold, it's based on the economy. So all we got to do is put money back in the economy. And I'm not trying to sound utopian about it, but if we do what Yang has been talking about, Dr. Martin Luther King called it an annual basic income. So it doesn't matter what you call it. If we can put money in folks' hands so they can get back out there and put money in the retailers' hands, et cetera, we can move forward until we find a vaccine.
You know, they've been selling us the idea that corporate America, the one who create jobs, or the one who create economy, or the one who is deserving our gratitude. And instead of this economic stimulus, instead of going to corporation, trillions of dollars going to corporation, the rich, it'll go to the workers, go to the consumers.
Yeah, because the fact of the matter is, Walmart is generally not paying any taxes. The big book company, I don't know why they're slipping my mind right now, but some of them paying zero taxes, and they're heading up now to literally being almost $1 trillion business. See, and so why wouldn't they themselves invest more in these workers? I was in Walmart recently, and just to see this girl's hands had to touch everybody's hands. She was checking out receipts and all. I'm like, her life is on the line, you see, and she's still probably making $8 or $9 an hour. You know, maybe it's more than that nowadays, but their lives are on the line. And these billionaires, and some of them are now almost trillionaires, have as much money as 90%. I hope I'm right with that figure. I'll have to double check it. I think I heard someone else say that. But the percentage of income that they have, and if you look at Bloomberg, the massive amount, $1 billion he was able to spend with the campaign, lets us know that there's a lot of money out there, and the Congress should go to the Federal Reserve. They should get that money out here into the hands of the people, and all of us can just relax for a chance. And let's get some of these people on, take the time to get on the internet. Some people have science inclinations and they can find a vaccine. They can find a whole lot of things. If we give these people a little break now for the next 9 months to 12 months, and it's all it's going to do is stimulate our economy.
You know, you are running within the Democratic Party, am I correct?
Oh, yes. I've always been a Democrat, just for the one time with the Green Party. I like the Green Party, though. They're about the environment.
No, I won't hold it against you. So what are the other new ideas? You know, I know you talked about giving everybody $2,000 and all of that, but what are the new ideas that are coming out of the Democratic parties, besides that are not Trump?
Right. The party itself, I think it certainly needs new blood, as you and I talked about last year. Our young people are very much aware, and that's why you got a lot of white kids out in the streets too. There is it's a socially engineered poverty, and the Democratic Party is supposed to be for the masses of people. You see, so I think that it's not so much always trying to come up with a novel idea, but let's keep it real and say what will work. And that universal basic income will work. Black students, white students, white people, everybody. And we thought that this universal basic income was going to be 30 or 40 years down the road. So COVID-19 has just accelerated us into the future. I think that's the best idea going. And I'm going to just, talk about that throughout the campaign.
You know, with the demonstration and the reaction of the killing of George Floyd, why the people risking their life and going to the streets in the middle of a pandemic and the social distancing and lockdown and nobody talks about COVID-19 anymore, and people found out that the biggest virus we have here is racism and our inequality and our that racialized culture or what have you. But when you look at the people on the street, they are mixed. They are coming from everywhere. This is the most diverse demonstration I ever seen. Usually, Me Too, they have their own. This Black Lives Matter 6-7 years ago, they were majority Black. But now this is a little bit different. Why is that?
Well, I'm going to be, I really believe part of it because people are not working and people are locked in their homes. And whatever the media covers, the media will frame something one way this week or this month, then they'll frame it another way. Unfortunately, Americans are not, and the whole globe actually, however America frames the media, that's what people generally follow. And the moment the media stops talking about it, lots of people go home, unfortunately.
There is a realization I think this is the first time more than 75% of Americans think that racism is real and is the biggest challenge this country is facing. This is unheard of. This is huge. Even 71% of white think racism is a huge challenge for America. And also, there's a lot of people that are looking at the inequality and economic security is not there anymore. So that there are a big part of this reason galvanize a lot of people. You ran against Ilhan before, right?
Right. Keith Ellison decided not to run on the final day of filing last time, so I decided to go ahead and run. I knew at least I'd have some information out there so people would not say I'm an unheard of at this point. And so this puts me in a wonderful position. Thanks so much for inviting me on, that at least I'll have an opportunity this time to tell my story and I'll be on the ballot. So my name is Les Lester. I was talking to a lady the other day. She said, that's an easy name to remember. So I hope it's easy to remember when people vote, and I'll represent Minnesota well in Washington.
Did you come up with a tagline or a slogan yet?
Well, I haven't thought of anything in particular.
I'll give you one. I'll give you a free one. You don't have to pay me.
I'm listening.
Less for more.
Less for more. I like that.
Okay, take it.
That fits with the universal basic income. It'll be more for everybody.
$2,000, this is less, but for more, you can use it and develop it.
Well, they can use it, and some people are behind the 8 ball all the time. Some people, they've got plenty of money, they just put it to the side, but it would help at any rate. Mm-hmm.
It's a very interesting time, Les, and a very crazy time, and I think people are raising different questions and they need different answers, and we wish you all the best, and we wish this energy in the street that are fighting racism and fighting police brutality transform to policy and activism and changing the structure of our racist system and our political system. So we wish you well, and we'll see you in November.
Okay, sounds fantastic. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Good luck.